So now we're going to get into executive function skills. I'm looking at my time here and some strategies. And I changed this up. So usually when I talk about executive functioning skills, here are the executive functioning skills in Smart but Scattered. And I usually talk about them, go through each one, we discuss it, we do some different things with it. But because of time, we're not going to have time to do that. So I changed things up. And instead of going in and talking about each executive functioning skill, I'm just going to show you some strategies and then talk about how that would work with different executive functioning skills. Okay. So the ones I have in green, response inhibition, working memory, and emotional control, are really some of the big ones, kind of the hallmark ones we want to look at. So response inhibition is considered the granddaddy of executive functioning skills, because if you don't have response inhibition, the rest of the stuff is really difficult to follow. So if you have a student who doesn't have response inhibition, that's really something you're going to want to work on. So here's some different ideas that you could use. On the left, you will see a token board, which many classrooms use. So that's where you have, I'm working for this. So maybe it's a break, maybe it's a snack, maybe it's a time with an iPad, maybe it's time, going out to recess, time with going visiting Mrs. Jones's class or something like that. And in order to earn stars, I have to earn 5 stars. And in order to earn that, we have the pictures, the visual supports of a quiet voice, quiet hands, sit at my desk or sit in my chair, and good listener. And that gets me a star. So once I earn 5 stars, I get that. So that teaches response inhibition. It also helps with task initiation. You have to get started in those tasks. You have to be doing those things. Emotional control it supports, and also goal-directed persistence. If I have a goal of going to Mrs. Jones's class and seeing my friends, then that is a goal I want to work for. The one on the right is kind of an idea I had. And again, I said that I have a son-in-law who is a high school math teacher. And so I sent this to him and said, would this be even reasonable at the high school level? And he said, yeah, it could be. So if you're a high school teacher and you're like, Paige, this is a really bad idea, I apologize. This was just kind of me trying to think of how could you do that same thing for a student who maybe was at high school level, a student who maybe didn't need the visual supports of those pictures. And so I thought the idea of maybe earning a pass to get a homework assignment excused. In order to earn a pass, you have to earn a daily smile by being on time for class, having your materials needed for class, keeping hands, feet, and materials to themselves when and use them in the way they're intended to. So rulers don't become weapons. Complete daily bell work on time when it's assigned, and show respect to myself and others in the way I speak, act, and respond. You do that, you get a smiley, okay, or whatever you want to do. Maybe, maybe you're the Eagles and you get an eagle feather, something like that. So whatever it is you want to earn. And then in order to have one homework grade as a pass, without impacting your grade, you have to do this. You can show understanding of that homework concept by getting a 75% on a skills check. So maybe some quick skills check. Yeah, I can do that. Good. And I have to have 18 out of 20 smileys for the last 20, or 18 out of the last 20 days of smileys, and then I can earn this pass. So that could be a way. Again, I want to be able to get this pass, and maybe I don't use it right now, but I'm going to use it later when I had a soccer match until 10 o'clock last night and I'm exhausted and I don't want to turn in my homework. I'm going to be able to do a quick show that I understand that information. So that's another idea that you can use. Here's another one that is really great for both response inhibition and emotional control, and it's called the thinking bubble and the talking bubble. And this is from Jill Kuzma. And the thinking bubble are words in our head. And this is an example. This is just a board. It's like a whiteboard that I got at the Dollar Tree, which is now the $1.25 tree. And I just wrote on it with a Sharpie. And so you could put in your thinking here of, I think that Mrs. Buckingham's shirt is ugly. Okay, that's my thought. But these are silent words. These are not words we want to say out loud. These are words that we have our own thoughts and we hold on to them. So then when we do our talking bubble, these are the words from our mouth. These are the words that people hear. So I might think, I don't like Mrs. Buckingham's shirt, but what I say is, hi, Mrs. Buckingham, how are you doing today? Because I'm not going to say, I don't like your shirt. So then you could give some words. Maybe you want to do, that's my toy, but my talking bubble is, could you please give me my toy back? Okay, so you could do a thinking bubble and talking bubble. You can buy these again at the Dollar Tree, and they're great for that. You could write on them and wipe them off. Here's also some information from Social Thinking with Michelle Garcia Winter, and this is just a free download from her website, and I give you the link on this. And this is talking about those expected and unexpected behaviors. What are the things that are things we expect in a classroom versus what we don't expect and might kind of be like, oh, that was a little alarming. Expected and unexpected works on emotional control, response inhibition, sustained attention. It works on all of those skills. So kind of depending on which one you're working on might depend on how you tweak that activity and how you present it to your students. Another idea is the 90-second pause. And I read this recently that according to a Harvard brain scientist, 90 seconds is all it takes to identify an emotion and allow it to dissipate while you simply notice it. When you're stressed, pause 90 seconds and label what you're feeling. I'm angry, I'm frustrated, whatever it is. This taps down the activity to the amygdala. Okay, the MRI shows that the brain, that this emotion labeling actually calms our brains down and keeps us from having angry outbursts. So thinking about that, how could you build the ability to do a 90-second pause within your class? What might this look like? I mean, I don't think it's fair for any of us to expect our students to be able to do a 90-second pause just like that. But how could you build that into your classroom? How could you put something in place to get the students to stop, process their emotions, think about it, and then go forward and be able to do something? What are some ideas that you guys might have in how to do that? What might this look like? And you can pop something in the chat box. Mindfulness breaks. Yeah, great. See, I picked on you, Amanda, and maybe you were doing things already beforehand, but thank you, Amanda. I appreciate that. So mindfulness breaks. It could be setting a timer. Again, verbalizing for yourself using an emotions wheel. Yeah, right? Labeling your own, using a stoplight and a timer, okay? Doing your own, going, you know what? I am feeling this way right now. Whew, I'm going to take a few seconds to myself and think about that and come up with a plan to make myself feel differently. So again, verbalizing and moving past that. We do zone check-ins, great. Start with a few minutes and build up to 90. Yeah, and this is 90 seconds. Remember, this is 90 seconds, but you may need to start with a 5-second pause. Yeah, totally. I totally agree, Susan. That's what I was thinking. Here's another idea. I found this on Everyday Speech. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Everyday Speech, but if you sign up for their newsletter, they'll send you information and they'll send you things like this, I think once a week. So this is from Everyday Speech, and this is just a sample routine. And what they have you do here is put the title of your activity. When it's time for what morning meeting, this is what I'm expected to do. And then you do those things. So you could do this kind of activity with your students, and that works on planning, organizing, time management, response inhibition, all those different skills. Checklists. I love checklists. Okay. Use checklists. You can use them with technology. This is actually from Google Keep. And this is from a student in a district that I worked with made this. And what I love about it is it's not only a checklist of things that have to be done, but this student also used it for emotional control. This student had survive finals week. Wow, that's a really powerful, okay, I'm going to grind. I'm going to get there. I'm going to survive it. Have a good winter break. Mentally prepare myself for finals. So this student was using it to help get emotional control. One of the things I love is binge watch Kim Possible. You know what? Sometimes we have to put those leisure things on our to-do list to make sure we do them. So to-do lists and checklists are great for so many different executive functioning skills. And again, I think it's really important to use the way the student wants to do it. This is Google Keep. You may have a written one. You may have one in documents, however you want to do it, but checklists are really, really powerful. This is a great idea from Sarah Ward, and this is one of my my little friends, a friend of ours, her son, and his name is Q. And this is head to toe thinking. So if you see Q over on the left of the screen, he's not ready. Okay, if his mom said, hey, it's time to go to football practice, he would obviously not be ready. But on the right-hand side is Q ready for football practice. Okay, he does flag football. And so head to toe thinking, and again, this is from Sarah Ward, head to toe thinking is taking a picture of him ready to go. So his mom could say, head to toe, ready to go to football, head to toe, ready to go to football. And that means hat, mouth guard, football, flag, shorts, cleats. I'm head to toe ready to go. So you could do this for your classroom. Maybe it's winter and head to toe ready to go out for recess, head to toe ready to go for leaving at the end of the day, going on a field trip, going to lunch, whatever it is. And maybe you need to take pictures of kids at the beginning of the year. When I say head to toe ready to go, this is what it means in this situation. This is what it means in this situation. Have those pictures, give those visual supports to kids. Here's what it can look like at the older level, at a high school level. So this is a block and box strategy. And this is actually my neighbor. And she agreed to let me use her picture, but this is a student ready to go. And we want to do this because it reduces the number of things we have to think about. Instead of thinking, I need my instrument and I need this book and I need this book and I need this book and I need technology, we're going to do a big box. Okay. The blue is our big boxes ready to go. And then we have different blocks within that. So we have a band block, which is the instrument and the music. And we have a books block, which is the book, the notebook, maybe a folder, and technology block, which is in her backpack, which is her computer and charger. So the box in the blocks are the blocks in the box are all these little blocks that make up the big block of being ready to go. And then going, okay, do I have everything? I know my son jokes that he's like, do I have my keys, my phone, my wallet, keys, phone, wallet. He kind of hits his pockets before he walks out of the house. Okay, I've got those. So that's a way you could do it. You could have the kids block out different things. You could talk about this in your class. You can model it. And again, this is from Sarah Ward. She has amazing resources. And at the end of this, it does have links to her website. Here's an idea for homework, a homework plan. You could do a homework plan with fading. Maybe you have a student who never turns homework in. You could have different things. You could use Post-it notes and you could write on the Post-it what the student needed to do. You could have that indicator or have something on the student's desk that they would show you to show you their homework's done. The teacher then takes it and turns it in. Then eventually the teacher works to direct the student to physically go turn it in. Then the teacher just reminds the student to physically turn it in. And then the teacher lets them know when they have received it. So it's kind of that fading backward of how to do this. Another one is for a kid who is a blurter. Okay, we all have those kids who are blurters. And so you first want to collect data on how much this is really happening, and then have the teacher talk to the student and create a plan. Okay, talk about what is blurting and what is not, and how the student can fade back on that. Okay, I want you to think of one of those strategies that we just talked about and how it could be applied to a classroom event, maybe the beginning of the school day, the end of the school day, getting ready for a new class or subject, going to specials, going to lunch, going to recess. And if somebody wants to speak on this or pop it in the chat, what are some of the ideas using these strategies in classroom events that you're like, hey, I could do that in my classroom to help with this situation? And again, I'll look at the chat box. Head to toe for recess. Yeah, I love that too. Head to toe ready to go for visual for dismissal. Yes. And even if you send it home to the parents, and say, hey, this is what we're doing. Use this terminology. Beginning of the day, head to toe. Yeah. Or it might be, something of the desk. Here's what your desk should look like. At the beginning of the day, you should have this, this on it. Head to toe for arrival. Yeah, I love that head to toe idea. Great idea to share with families. I agree. These are great tools. So another one that we talk about, and I think somebody had put earlier about having a zones check-in, is using the zones of mentions, okay? And talk about those. Talk about what you're doing. Talk about why you're doing it. This helps with response inhibition, emotional control. Use the strategies that you're already using in your building and figure out how they can link to the executive functioning skills, okay? Because they're not different. Anything you do for social emotional is going to work on executive functioning. This is another great idea by Sarah Ward. And again, if you ever have the opportunity to hear Sarah Ward, go see Sarah Ward in person. But this is called Get Ready, Do Done. And this can work on time management, planning, organizing, task initiation, goal-directed persistence. There's so many things this can work on. So the idea with this is that you plan it right to left. Okay, so you're going to start with done. I am going to give the picture of what the activity, what the lesson, what the project looks like done to my students. This is what it should look like when it's done. Okay, now I know what I'm shooting for. And then work with your students and saying, what do you have to do in order to get that done? Well, to do this bug activity, my kids had to do it in middle school. To do this bug activity, we had to collect insects, identify insects, euthanize the insects, type out the scientific name, put them in the box, here's the different things, okay? And I like to put a date to it because I like to give it a time management and a planning piece. Then in order to get ready to do those things, these are the things I need. I need a jar for bugs. I need a bug net. I need a pen and paper. I need a box. I need pens. I need a computer. All these things I need to get ready. Then you work it back left to right. Okay, so you're going to start with done, go to do, and then get ready. And then you're going to go back the next way. So now that I've planned this all out, now I'm going to go, now I'm going to get ready. I'm going to collect all my things to get ready. Now I'm going to do it. And now it's going to be done. Okay, we do this in our life as adults. My daughter got married a few years ago. And, we had a plan for what we wanted it to look like. Okay. We had a plan. She had a plan. I shouldn't say we, it was hers. She had a plan for what she wanted the tables to look like, what the food was going to be, what the dresses were going to be, all that. So we had the picture of our done. Okay. Then these were the things we had to do in order to make that happen. And these were the things we had to get ready. Okay. And so then when that day came, we just worked our way the other direction. I really like to add the dates to this, okay, to give the kids that plan, because if you have something due on October 31st, you need to help the kids learn how to chunk it out. Okay. You need to help them plan and prioritize and do that time management piece. I had a high school teacher one time who attended this training, and he was like, oh my gosh, I need to do this for my big projects, because students have no idea. They wait till a few days before. And there's information, again, that Sarah Ward has that I talk about in my full day training that talks about how long or how far ahead people can think and plan. And it isn't until you're in high school or even after high school that you can plan 2 to 3 weeks ahead of time. Most of the time, the kids that we're talking about can only plan days ahead of time. So doing this kind of thing, you could do this for any lesson that you have in class, show them that picture of it, talk about as a group, what do we need to do? Okay, you would, again, first model this. This is what we need to do, and then get ready. And over time, you are going to be able to pull out back from that external support of doing it so that the students then start internalizing and doing that for themselves. And I see Chris said, I use that technique for daily reading and math assignments. I laminated it. It's easy to write on, and it's amazing. I agree. It is really amazing. And Heidi, you need this for your husband before he starts projects. I think we all need it. I need it before I start cooking. So as we start winding up, we've got about 6 minutes left, and I want to let you guys have some questions if you have them. But I want you to realize and think about that any social emotional learning activity that you're already doing can hit, as I say, an area of executive functioning. I think it is so important that we don't go out and go, I'm going to add this and this and this. There may be things you need to add, but I think it's first really important to look at what am I already doing? And what am I doing that maybe I can just put a little bit stronger executive functioning lens on? Maybe I'm doing this. Maybe I have my assignments up on the board already. Maybe we're already doing a mindfulness check-in, but oh gosh, I never thought to verbalize my own emotional stuff that's going on, or verbalize and model for the students what that might look like. I just kind of expected them to do it. So now I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to start verbalizing. I'm going to start visualizing. I'm going to take a picture of me, maybe head to toe or something like that. So what are you already doing in your class that you can put an executive functioning lens on it? And how can you tweak it to meet an executive functioning teaching need? Because again, we have to teach these skills. We can't just expect kids to have them. We've got to teach these skills. And because of technology, because things have been right there and they're just quick and do it for us, we sometimes don't have to do those skills ourselves. So what are some things that you're already doing in class that you can put an executive functioning lens on? And then the last thing is, I want you to think of one thing that you learned today that you did not know. What is something that you plan to implement from today? And it may be that you don't get to it right away, but that you plan to do. And then what additional questions do you have, and who can you go to for help in answering them if you have those questions? And then here are the references that I have for you. And I actually just did all the references of stuff that I do for my full day training, just so you would have access to them. And so that is it.